So how are grocery stores forcing you to buy more than you really want? Just think about the last time you've run to the grocery store. Maybe it's before dinner time. You got to quickly buy things. Think of the ways that grocery stores just make you add more to your cart, and then those things that you want to add up to the bill. Let's go to the one and only Dr. Sylvain Charlebois. You know him as the food professor from Dalhousie University, and he's on the line. Sylvain, welcome back.
Well, thank you.
So I've been talking about this with my listeners over the last 20 minutes or so, and boy, did I set them off when I talked about bread right now at the grocery store. It seems to me that every grocery store, if you want a deal on a loaf of bread, you have to buy 2 or now even 3, and they make it almost impossible to avoid. It's like it's $5 for 1 loaf or $10 for 3. And you're saying to yourself, oh, geez, I guess I got to get 3 loaves of bread? And it doesn't make sense. Anyway, Sylvain, give me what this is all about. Talk to me about the strategies, Loblaws and Sobeys, IGA, Metro, what they're using now to get you to buy more.
Yeah, so it's called volume discounting. So grocers will get you to buy more to pay less, essentially. Mm-hmm. And this is Costco's legacy. So when Costco came to the market in Canada, grocers wanted to respond in some way to focus on the consumer that I was looking for some bulk buying. And that's what they came up with. So instead of basically selling larger formats, they basically said, you know what, we're going to try to focus on volume and offer lower prices per unit. The problem with that approach is, as you just mentioned, and I'm sure many of your listeners that are not happy with the strategy is because it can be seen as discriminatory. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people do live alone, don't eat much, and I'm thinking of seniors as well. I mean, those are people that don't necessarily need to buy more food, but they're kind of forced to, I guess, because if you want to be careful with your budget. And at the end of the day, a few weeks later, you end up perhaps throwing some away because you just didn't use it. So it leads to food waste as well.
And I see sometimes, Sylvain, they're like, well, buy 3 or buy 4 and you'll get this great price. I'm like, do these grocery stores think Maurice Duplessis is still in power? We all have 12 children at home. Like I'm a couple, I got a newborn, or you're living alone. The years I spent, just living solo on my own. It's just, you're never going to get to that stuff. Now, is there any studies, Sylvain, on that? Because, you do the math. You are saving money technically if you buy 3 for the great price. But do we have any studies on what happens when consumers get that product in the house? How much ends up being wasted or thrown out when they're forced to buy more?
No, but it's giving me a pretty darn good idea for our lab, though.
Uh-huh.
I mean, of course, you need participants and you need to kind of get them to answer questions, and over time. But I do question the practice overall. I don't think there's anything wrong with volume discounting, but you have to think about the people who just don't need as much food. Yes. And I did raise the point directly with Minister Champagne himself last fall. I did mention that based on our data, overwhelmingly 67%, okay, 2/3 of Canadians actually see the practice of volume discounting as being discriminatory. So it's not just, even people who want to buy these products and see the value, they actually recognize that for others it may not be a good idea. So yeah. I basically said, I think it's time to perhaps encourage grocers to democratize volume discounting, if you will, to make sure that everyone has access to the same rebates, no matter what your situation is at home.
And you know what? Sometimes what they'll do, Sylvain, is it'll be 3 for a certain price, but if you only buy 1, they'll prorate it and give you the discount. But I find that's becoming more and more rare, but it's still possible at certain times.
In certain times, I would say, you know what? I do see independent grocers being way more flexible on that issue. The problem with larger banners with larger grocers, they have to adhere to specific corporate rules. But the smaller discounters, they see this as an opportunity. So if you actually ask, say, I don't need 3 loaves of bread. Can I get the same price? But I'll just need one. And often independent grocers will say, absolutely, no problem.
We're with Dr. Sylvain Charlebois. Of course, you know him as the food professor from Dalhousie University. Now, I guess the question I have is, isn't some of this fair? And simply I say that because tricks and games have always been part of the grocery store. They put the milk all the way in the back, so you've got to go through the aisles and perhaps buy more. They put, impulse buys in certain areas. Isn't that all part of the grocery store, and it's up to the consumer to be smart?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's time for, it's a bit of a game, right? When you go into a grocery store, you kind of accept the fact that you are a guinea pig. You're manipulated by the sense, lights, the labyrinth of aisles and food products, and you'll have lost leaders all over the place, and they'll make you work for it. They'll make you work to have access to some good deals, especially in the dairy section in the back. Well, look at the Costco model. The Costco model is a perfect example. 2 loss leaders, hot dogs at $1.50,
yeah,
and the chicken at the end. So the one hot dog is in the front, and the chicken is in the back.
Yeah.
And that's consistent. That's a good example of how consumers are pushed to behave certain ways in a grocery store physically. And that's, we accept that. But at the end of the day, with food inflation and high prices, I do think that there's also a moral contract layered over the fact that we, adhere to this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think grocers need to also show some sympathy towards, a lot of people who are falling behind right now.
Well, it's so interesting because that $7.99 Costco bird is the greatest deal there. Yet
I know.
You get to the cash, you've spent $400, right? You haven't spent $7.99. Okay.
I know, and it works. Absolutely, it works.
Let me ask you this, because when we talk about gaming things and trying to entice people to do things, add into the mix the apps. Add into the mix that every grocery store now has an app and a points card and a point system, and they don't force you, but they make it so that you have to, when you're at the store, open up the app, see where you're getting the extra points, offer a special deal if you load it in the app. What about that? Because, adding the smartphone, that sort of makes it like the casino lottery-ification of grocery store shopping. What do you think about that and how they're using apps nowadays?
I think, it's always a good idea. There's lots of apps out there. I'm expecting more. I'm expecting more people to use these apps. The big battleground this year is going to be loyalty. We're shopping around. We're not loyal towards anything right now. We don't necessarily buy the same brands. We'll buy the cheaper brands. We'll go to stores where there are some good deals as well. And so grocers will want us back, and we'll work on loyalty, and apps are a good way to go. Because the younger generations are app focused much more so than seniors, and they're the ones shopping around. If you look at the data in terms of how people have been affected financially over the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 years, millennials are feeling it because they're economically active. They probably have a mortgage, a couple of kids. It's been tough for them. I know it's been tough for seniors on a fixed income. Yeah. But when you look at the data, millions are absolutely devastated financially right now, so they're looking for deals.
Sylvain, I'll leave you with this on the app front. I just opened up my PC app, right? The President's Choice app.
Yeah.
An app exclusive offer, 3,000 points, so that's the equivalent of $3. 3,000 points when you spend $10 on Pringles, Cheez-It, or Townhouse. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're spending $10 on Pringles, consult your doctor. So,
it's Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Come on.
Oh, very true. Very true. Very true. All right, Sylvain, thanks so much. I always love talking to you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, the food professor from Dalhousie University.